Hi, Mochismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Subscribe, like, and share this video if you don't mind. I appreciate it. A lot of you may or may not know, for the last 14 years I've been dealing with a situation unlike narcissistic personality disorder abuse. That I got enlightened to in 2020 is when I awakened about that. But prior to that, since my children have been in this world, essentially, I've been vehemently attempting to try to bring awareness to Munchausen syndrome by proxy. To this very day, I am yet to have someone to look into these allegations and and beliefs, strong belief that I have that the mother is suffering and struggling from this, and as a result of it, my children are being harmed with this situation. Now, first of all, most men don't even know what this is, and if we do, to investigate it and to push hard to go forth with trying to uncover it in the sense that I've been, I'm yet to hear someone that's doing this equally, but I know there's someone out there in the world just like my situation who may be a man, may be a woman, that has someone in your family that is struggling with this, and you probably surmise it and you probably have already investigated it. But I'm here to tell you I understand what you're going through, and the chances are that you're in a situation just like I am. Your words falling on deaf ears. They fall on deaf ears, much like when we talk about narcissistic personality disorder abuse to people. These things fall on deaf ears, and you know why? Because most of the people that we're speaking to, they're either a part of the problem or they in some way struggle with some type of mental disturbance that they don't want to entertain what you're talking about, because what it causes us to do is to go into ourselves and start to critically think and introspect. And what that does is, if it's something that remotely seems similar to some of the things that the behaviors that we're exhibiting, we shy away from it. Isn't that something? The biggest fear that man has is owning up to who he is or she is. Channeling your introspection to find out just how unequipped you are, and just how lacking you are in many ways, in order to go on to strengthen those weaknesses. That's how you grow. We have a lot of epidemics in the world, and Munchausen syndrome by proxy, although I don't know what the numbers are, but this is a very deadly, dangerous, subtle, but in many cases not so subtle. It happens. This is essentially when a mother or caregiver, female most often, is given the task of nurturing and caring for a child. While in their while these children are in their care, they go on to either accelerate pre-existing illnesses, or they manufacture illnesses in the child or children, take them to the doctor, and this is centered on attention, much like narcissistic personality disorder. A lot of these illnesses are centered. A lot of these mental health illnesses they are catered to bring attention to the person associated with it. The world at large are self-centered, self-seeking individuals. The human being is attention grubbing. The only way you become selfless, little by little, day by day, is looking outside of yourself as to what you are here for. But you must go inside of yourself to see that it's not about you. And this comes from a lot of things in life that grooms us to be like this. Silver spoon in our mouth, overbearing parents. A lot of things contribute to these things of making children that become adults and become other people's problems. So now that we're informed, we have information, I need for you guys to really look into this Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And the by proxy is when the individual causes harm to someone else. Munchausen syndrome in and of itself, that name alone means the person is feigning illnesses within themselves. You know, much like a hypochondriac that's always talking about they're ill, this and that and this. You ask them, hey, how are you doing today? They'll go in and give you a laundry list of, oh, you know, that kind of thing. It's not like, I'm doing fine. You know, my knee aches a little bit, but other than that, I'm doing fine. You know, just they go in on this stuff. So I have an article I want to read to you guys. This is from December 21st, 2024. This is yet another case that had just happened, and this is in Texas. And I'll just read it to you, and I want you guys to just become more aware of what's happening around you. Even you all that have come out of narcissistic abuse, I need for you guys to just stay vigilant, because there are a lot of atrocious things that are happening, and a lot of times it's taking shots on our kids. You know, we also often become fixated on, let's say, pedophiles and rapists and this type of stuff that's happening in the world, but this is the subtleness of what these people do to harm our children, and it's equally as destructive, and it's equally as criminal and disturbed. See, we don't pick and choose what crime and what act is worse than one other. When you harm children, you harm children. And in this case, a lot of times, these individuals, the mothers that are struggling and suffering from this, they have gone on to unalive their children. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. There's many cases where a lot of these women have been in the prenatal field, and a lot of them are in the medical field. So if you didn't know why I go in on people in the medical field the way that I do, this is why. This is why. And again, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. I'll read this article to you guys. I definitely appreciate you all in the medical field that have a heartfelt desire to make a difference. This doesn't include you, okay? So you can calm down, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. So let's read this article, guys. I'm not getting off the gas pedal on this. 14 years I've been doing this, way before my awareness of narcissistic personality disorder. Texas mom accused of faking illnesses, forcing teen daughter into unnecessary treatments. This happened in Tarrant, T-A-R-R-A-N-T County, Tarrant County, Texas. A mother in Texas is facing 9 felony charges for alleged medical abuse involving her 15-year-old daughter, KTVT reported. On Wednesday, the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office arrested 40-year-old Denise A. Zamora for allegedly submitting false medical histories that led to unnecessary and potential harmful medical procedures over a 6-year period, according to a news release. It goes on to say, her action led to the doctors placing an unneeded feeding tube in her daughter, authorities said. Investigators are calling it a case of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, where a child caretaker makes up fake symptoms and causes real symptoms to make it appear that the child is sick, often to receive attention. According to an arrest warrant affidavit, Zamora falsely claimed, among other things, that her daughter was diagnosed with VHL, genetic deletion syndrome, could not walk without a wheelchair, was deaf in both ears, had a learning disability, and was nonverbal, communicating only through sign language. Von Hippel-Lindau syndrome is a genetic disorder where tumors can grow in multiple organs throughout the body, according to the National Cancer Institute. Zamora faces 1 count of injury to a child resulting in serious bodily injury, 1 count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, 3 counts of injury to a child, and 4 counts of endangerment of a child. 1 of the counts is related to the unnecessary administration of ketamine, an anesthetic, as well as a pain treatment that causes the victim to become dependent. I've experienced something similar by way of the mother administering and giving my child her prescription bottle with medicine in it. And I have proof of this, guys. Zamora is also accused of falsifying her medical history by claiming to have cancer, police said. She deceived her family and friends, even going as far as to shave her head and claim she was undergoing chemotherapy treatment. You cancer victims and survivors out there, yeah, there is a possibility of an investigation into Medicaid fraud with an estimated 500,000 to a million in unnecessary medical treatments. Police said detectives suspect that Zamora may have solicited monetary donations for both herself and her child's medical expenses. Anyone who has donated is asked to call Tarrant County Sheriff's Office Detective Michael Weber at 817-884-3749. Zamora was released on a $50,000 bond and is prohibited from having contact with the victim, according to the arrest affidavit. She's also not allowed to be alone with any children under the age of 17. Now, this is not something I like to talk about, but I'm very dedicated and devoted to it because I don't hear this spoken about. This is one of those subtle, discreet things. If and when it happens, if it's being dealt with, it never gets the attention that it needs. People too worried about what P. Diddy is doing. Not that that doesn't matter, but children are vulnerable. Children are vulnerable in many ways. A lot of us, you who are here as adults, we have stories. We're on the other side of that, and we now know that it is our duty to not allow this cycle to continue to repeat itself. Some of you are trying to crawl out of that hole that your parents dug for you. You're behaving and acting and addressing your children in ways that you really don't want to address them. You want to be that parent that is nurturing. You want to be that parent that is protective. But for the sake that you are so psychologically disconnected with certain things, your faculties like you should be, you're trying to fix yourself in a way by the grace of God so you can be a benefit to your child rather than a problem. And you know I'm going to tell you this one before I leave because I can get so long-winded on this. When you talk about this in the courts, it falls on deaf ears. And you notice I read 500 to 100,000 to $500,000 to $1 million in expenses. You know who should be jailed in this too? The doctors. See, if this woman was clever enough to deceive them to the point where they put a feeding tube, she's not a doctor. Isn't there exams that they can determine whether this needs to be done or not? And there was a case I read that this woman, mother, did something similar. Had her kid going through these treatments, had surgery, had his body opened up and put tubes down his stomach. And she would leave him with a girlfriend of hers. And the kid would eat Twinkies like they were going out of style, like that was the last pack. And when the mother came back to get the child, she would say, well, you know, he ate everything I could throw at him. And nonetheless, that didn't raise red flags. She was able to still convince. She went to one doctor and he denounced it and denied the procedure and refused to do it. And what she did was she bounced around to different doctors' offices till she could convince and manipulate and seduce them. Pretty sure she did some kind of provocative type of seducing. Probably wore her hair a certain way. Probably wore this skin-tight dress. This is disturbing stuff, guys. Very disturbing. Now, I don't mean to get a little uptight about it, but this is not something I take lightly. In the world that we're living in, I'm going to show you something. Women, you have a persuasive ability. And so much so, there are women out here who have allowed this to go to their heads, and they have disturbances that are atrocious. And I have girlfriends that they side with me on this. And they say, you know what? Some of the women that I see do some of the things that they've done, it makes me look bad as a woman. It makes me feel a lot of shame as a woman because there are systems in place to protect, provide, and aid and help and assist women in many ways, medically, criminally. These are safety nets to protect our women. But unfortunately, In this psychotic society we live in, it only takes a handful of these people to start this wave of monkey see, monkey do. And it's unfortunate. There's no oversight for this. They are never looked into these cases where a man does speak, as myself. For 14 years, you would think, wow, man, maybe we need to just look into this, because we're going to be liable for litigations here, lawsuits. The pride of life. People that are in power, their pride, they'll chop their nose off to spite their face. There are people been exonerated in prison 20, 30 years unjustly. Exonerated. DNA, exonerated. You'll never hear press conference where a prison or a DA will give a formal apology. And you're hard pressed to get compensated for it monetarily. How much money can bring back 30 years of your life? I've spent untold amounts of time in jail away from my children. I got 20-something years behind me from prison. My life has changed. I've become a new man, a different man. And here I am from 2010 to 2015, 2016, over 30 arrests. Over 30 arrests. Got my sternum broke when I was incarcerated in one case by an inmate. I got into a fight. They ended up moving me to another cell, which is the protocol and policy, because you're the property of that county or that state facility. Thereby, this guy was moved to my cell. We fought again, a second time, with a pre-existing broken sternum. I went to the nurse in the jailhouse. I asked them, I said I needed to have x-ray. They did x-rays, concluded the sternum wasn't broken. I knew it was broken. Went on, got out a month later, a month later, whatever amount of times I spent in there. Got out because I fought it. And so they make you stay in jail. Then they come trying to give you a plea deal. You want to get out for Christmas, go ahead and just say you bumped into her, you rubbed up against her accidentally. This is what a public pretender tried to get. They tried to get her to coerce me to just take not a not guilty, but no contest in order to get out for Christmas. I looked them in their eye and I said, I don't give a damn about Christmas. You think I care about holidays? You know how much time I've lost with my children? And this is where parent-child alienation comes in. I know too much about that. All too much about that. I see it happening in other people's lives. I casually observe it. And I know exactly, distinctively, when I see it. Child-parent alienation. Most often the mother, in a lot of cases. Sometimes it can be the father. They leverage different allegations in order to keep this father or parent, male parent, climbing out of this hole that they've dug for him maliciously. And so while you're trying to fight for some parenting time, they're steadily going down filing allegations again, over and over and over. So now when you get past this one, they've already concocted another story over here. Listen well, man. If you didn't know what you were going through, now you know. There's exceptions to every rule, but this is happening more than you even want to think about. It's happening more than you know. So this story, guys, I want you guys to check it out. That being said, bless.